Breaking right now on Denver 7 News at 7 o'clock on Local 3. Firefighters have contained a wildfire that started in Boulder County early this morning. It is small, only about a half acre in size, but it could have easily been worse. Strong winds are already blowing across the Front Range.
Some gusts could reach into the 80-mile-an-hour range. That's like a hurricane. We have team coverage, but begin with Denver 7's Christian Lopez. Christian, you talked with a woman who got a pre-evacuation alert and packed up.
Yeah, I did, and the good news is that firefighters were able to quickly contain that fire this morning, but it was still very scary for people who live in this area. We spoke with Sarah Barnes, who lives in the Carriage Hills neighborhood, and she packed up as soon as she got that pre-evacuation order this morning.
We have a very close-knit neighborhood, and because wildland fire is always a possibility where we live, we keep track of each other, make sure everybody's safe. Everybody has a plan. I have a to-go box in the back with important documents and all that, so everybody's pretty prepared.
And right now firefighters are working on mopping up. We still don't know what caused this fire, but it is sprinkling right now. You can also see how windy it is. And Lisa, I know that this is something that firefighters are probably going to be keeping an eye on today, these gusty winds that we're seeing out here.
Yeah, not only today, but also tomorrow. We've got 2 days of really windy conditions as this cold front races through the state this morning. Broomfield up to Boulder, up along 36. Gusts have been there anywhere from 40 to near 50 miles per hour. Much windier just to the west of that. Berthoud Pass has been howling all morning long. And now you can see out at the airport where we have a recent wind gust of near 40 miles per hour. So it's starting to get windier closer to downtown and east of I-25. We also have a few showers that are hitting the northeastern corner of the state. And yeah, a few sprinkles and some snow in through the northern Front Range mountains. That's the good news. The bad news is it is going to be pretty mild and windy today, so we still have some red flag warnings in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. We'll be in the upper 50s to low 60s. We're going to kind of hover right around that mark through the day today, so it's right around normal for this time of year with highs close to 60. 30s and 40s for the mountains with about 5 to 10 inches of snow for the mountains above about 10,000 feet. We'll take a closer look at the timing of some of that snow and these winds. I'll show you when things are going to die down and just how gorgeous it gets for the weekend coming up.
Some of the cameras have been really bouncy around. We have this camera up here. This is between Silver Plume and the Eisenhower Johnson tunnels, and you can see the trees moving around pretty good. There is a high wind advisory basically for any vehicle from CDOT that has any size to it. Empty trailers or semis or anybody towing a camper, anything like that, even that kind of a truck, smaller trucks are all going to be affected by the strong winds. Take a look at the drive on I-76. You can see some slower traffic here past the Commerce City split. It's the frontage road that's actually going to be pretty heavy. Take a look from the map over there. We've had a crash at the frontage road at 74, so that's backed up pretty significantly in there, trying to get down to 74th Avenue, and then obviously I-76 is pretty heavy in there too. The rest of the drive is pretty standard. No issues there across Aurora. We do have a crash here on the westbound side of I-Lift at Heather Ridge. Well, it's Vaughn Way, right over there by the Heather Ridge Golf Course and the community over there. But the rest of the drive down here to the south side of town looks okay.
All new this morning, the just released Denver Metro housing report shows a huge jump in sales prices.
This morning, we're taking a 360 in-depth look at wins for buyers and sellers in the report, the recent spike in interest rates making homes even more expensive, and Denver's plan to provide more affordable housing.
Let's start with the new report from the Denver Metro Association of Realtors. Starting with the good news, if you're a home owner already, your home appreciated about 9% in 1 month alone. Meanwhile, if you're a buyer, that means the prices also went up. The average closing price jumped to more than $705,000. Active listings also jumped 81%, which at least means there's more to choose from.
Seeing more listings, more months-end active inventory is that buyers may start to get a fresher breath air, being instead of competing with 10 or 15 offers, they might only have to compete with a few.
Active listings typically increase in April and May as people put their homes on the market ahead of school getting out.
The thing making it even harder for buyers is interest rates. Today's rates were released and they're down slightly from yesterday. Bankrate has a 4.89 average. NerdWallet says their rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage is 4.69%. That's if you've got good credit and 20% down. We're still way below the record of more than 16% in 1981. Rates were around 3% this time last year. Now, many of us are looking at the prices of homes and interest rates and wondering if we can ever afford a home. The city of Denver is working on a new policy to require builders to include affordable housing in any project with 10 or more units.
Of what this proposal is about is that ensuring that, as new homes are built in Denver, we're creating more affordable housing homes too, that are serving so many folks that are critical to making our city great.
The Denver Planning Board is having a public hearing on the proposal tomorrow at 3 p.m. You can learn more on the Planning Board's website, and you can read the plan on the city's website at denvergov.org/affordability incentive.
Overnight, the European Union Commission's president said she'll travel to Kyiv to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky. And in just a few hours, President Zelensky will address the United Nations Security Council about the Russia-Ukraine war. Yesterday, he visited the Kyiv suburb of Bucha, where bodies of civilians were left scattered across the streets. He says peace talks with Russia might now be off the table after what he saw. Witnesses say they saw a dozen people killed who were just riding their bikes. Authorities say more than 400 people were killed when Russian troops occupied the city. Meanwhile, U.S. officials say Russia is shifting troops to Ukraine's eastern and southern regions. President Biden vowed to impose more sanctions against Russia, saying Vladimir Putin should be tried for war crimes.
Colorado lawmakers are working to make our roads safer by eliminating distractions. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta joins us live. Veronica, there's a bill that lawmakers are discussing that would strengthen our current distracted driving laws.
It would, and at any point during your morning commute, you look to your left, you look to your right, you're probably going to see someone either talking on their phone or maybe even texting. Senate Bill 175 aims to put an end to that, banning adults from actually using their phones to talk on it unless they're using some sort of Bluetooth device. We spoke to the president of an organization that has really pushed for this bill. Listen to why she says this is so necessary.
People don't understand that they're driving a weapon when they get behind the wheel of a car or a truck. That's a lot of weight to be pushing. And if you're not paying attention, it takes a split second for something to happen. I would say the purpose of this bill is to change behavior, to get people to stop using their cell phones when they're driving.
Getting a hands-free bill passed, it's become a personal mission for Dane, who you just heard from. In 2016, her good friends Ryan and Jackie, they were hit and killed while they were riding their motorcycle by a driver who was reading a text message on their phone. Now, here are the consequences written into this bill. A driver caught using their phone would get a $100.50 fine and 2 license suspension points for the first offense. A second offense within 2 years would mean a $250 fine and 3 points, and then any additional citations would mean a $500 fine and 4 points. Attempts to get a bill like this one passed, they have failed before, mainly because proponents have worried about policing and racial profiling. So we reached out to Senator Jim Smallwood. He said he doesn't see himself supporting a bill like this, adding in part, quote, "I find these broad attempts to solve concerns in metropolitan areas to be virtually unenforceable and a new unnecessary burden on law enforcement, who should instead, in my opinion, be focusing their efforts to curb the violent crime wave that we're seeing across our state." So this bill, it was introduced in late March. It'll head to committee today, where lawmakers will continue discussing it. And of course, we'll keep you updated on its progress. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Well, when you pick up your phone this morning, you might be surprised to learn that Kansas won the men's basketball national championship last night. The fans are probably still partying even this morning. They were trailing North Carolina by 15 points at halftime. The Jayhawks' comeback marks one of the biggest ever in a national title game. And what a finish it was at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. With under 2 minutes to play and a 1-point game, David McCormick there was able to power the ball inside to give Kansas the lead. The Tar Heels tried a couple times to knock down a game-tying 3, but they were off the mark, and Kansas cut down the nets with its 4th national basketball title, 72-69, their second under head coach Bill Self.
I don't know that I've ever had a team flip the script like we have probably in the NCAA tournament, but to win when your team had to fight and come back the way they did and show that much grit makes this one off the charts.
And the crowd went wild. You can see from these aerial shots over KU's campus in Lawrence. They flooded the campus, thousands out there celebrating well into the night. Over on the women's side, the South Carolina basketball team received a warm welcome home in Columbia. The Gamecocks beat UConn for their national championship on Sunday. The mayor of Columbia says his office is also organizing a special celebration for the team. Lisa.
It is now 7:10, and take a look at our futurecast. The winds will continue gusty throughout the day. We're going to see just a few spotty showers hit the plains, a little rain-snow mix up and through the foothills, and more snow for the mountains. Highs today right around 60. Wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. It's never good when the winds are stronger than bigger than the temps.
No, definitely not. And overall, the drive doesn't look too bad around town. Without the winds, there really wouldn't be much to talk about. But you can see the winds affecting the drive here on Highway 93, just north of Golden. So it will be blowing around some of these folks that'll be driving even the regular cars here this morning between Boulder and Golden.
An iconic Rocky Mountain beer is getting a new look. Details on the $85 million investment helping Coors Light go green.
And Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is even closer to being the first black woman to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court, where the Senate stands ahead of the final confirmation vote.